this is Dodger and you're watching my show. So we're back from Gamescom. We only have one event left and then I'll be here most of the time. So we've got PAX Prime coming up and that's in Seattle. If any of you are going to be there, you should come and say hi. But as for Gamescom, it was super fun. And I hope that all of you that got to come to the meet and greet and do all of that had a great time because we had a great time. Also, speaking of Gamescom, there was some information that came out of it regarding pre-orders that I thought was pretty interesting. So like with pretty much any event, after it's over, all of the pre-sales tend to shoot up because the games, the way that they're presented really changes a lot of things about how people perceive them. So it actually turns out the company that got the biggest pre-order bump was Nintendo. All of the Wii U games that are going to be coming out, people were very impressed with at Gamescom. And so their percentage went up, I think like 30? This is because of games like Super Smash Bros. And Hyrule Warriors and things like that. But other games where the pre-order sales went way up was like Bloodborne. Bloodborne, everybody was like, wow, this looks way better than I was expecting. Pre-ordered. But you also have to remember that like the sales and pre-orders for Nintendo were pretty low anyway. So saying that they had the biggest percentage bump doesn't mean as much. It doesn't mean that everybody started on the level playing field, you know? But as somebody who really wants to have more reasons to use my Wii U, I'm delighted. Especially after realizing that I won't be able to play Monster Hunter 4 on my Wii U. F that. Your love with a tripod will never bear fruit. He'll never love you back. It'll just be you. I'm sorry. I didn't want to break this to you, especially not on camera with thousands of people watching. I know, you seem embarrassed now. Here, I'll leave you to think on things. Hey, don't take it out on me. Also, it should be noted that this is entirely on Amazon. So it could be different for different outlets like GameStop and things like that, but Amazon is a pretty big market, so I'm willing to listen to that. Actually, I'm gonna go and read the top 10 most increased pre-order games from the game. Number 1 is Project Cars, number 2 is Rise of the Tomb Raider, number 3 is Bloodborne, 4 is Hyrule Warriors, 5 is Quantum Break, 6 is Far Cry 4, 7 is Assassin's Creed Unity, 8 is Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, 9 is Battlefield Hardline, and 10 is Super Smash Bros. For 3DS. Woo! How many of you really, really love the game You Don't Know Jack? I actually hadn't played that until very recently. On Friendzone, actually, it was like one of the first times that I had played that. I remember seeing it before, but I don't feel like I legitimately played it, you know? It's super fun, and now they've made a different game that's more of a party type game. The game is called Fibbage. It's on Xbox One this week, although you only need the Xbox One to like turn the game on, like boot the game up, because the game is actually played entirely with your mobile phones. So everybody like has their phones. Actually, I'll grab my phone. Ah, where's my phone? I don't have my phone. We're using a paper towel instead. So here I am with my totally legit phone, and the way that the game works is it'll give you a sentence with a blank. And then there's one person in the group that's the host, that's not involved, right? So everybody else gets a sentence, and you have to fill in the blank with a lie. So it'll be like facts, right? And you're trying to fill in with a lie. But if you know the actual answer, you can put in the truth. So then whoever the host is, you know, depending on how the group of friends that you're with plays the game, the host gets to choose whichever answer they like best, but whoever actually has the right answer, I believe, still gets a point. Either way, it sounds like a super fun game. It sounds like a game that I would totally play. It's up to 8 players, and on joystick, there was a guy who's played this game before named Brutandwelski. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly how it was spelled, but he was saying that some tips and tricks are that everybody, of course, has to have a phone that has a Wi-Fi or internet connection, including the host, and that everyone should make sure to turn off the thing on your phone that's like, after a certain number of seconds, I'll shut down, right? Or I'll turn the screen black. He said that everybody who had that on got so angry because there are long periods of time where you like don't touch your phone. So those are some tips and tricks from somebody who's played on joystick. Oh my gosh, I just realized that this is, how long has this been in here? It's been just like, hey. So I don't know how many of you are still playing Wildstar. I honestly haven't touched it in a while, but I really enjoyed it. You know, I really, really loved it, and I liked that the devs were so committed to having a lot of post-game and end-game content and to continue to put out new content every month is what they said. Fortunately, as with many, many, many MMOs that tries to keep to a schedule, they're kind of abandoning the monthly schedule. They said they just can't really do it and make sure that the content is actually good, which kind of sucks. No word yet on what the actual new schedule is going to be, like how often they actually are going to be putting out content, but I assume it's going to be as fast as possible. They kept with the monthly thing for a couple of months there, and then they said that they just, this following up month, that they just couldn't get it quite right, and they didn't want to put it out into the universe with like a bunch of bugs and like things going wrong, you know? So I get it. Actually, okay, I went back, I reread some stuff, looked at a couple articles. Okay, so the way that they're actually going to do it now is rather than just put out things, you know, whenever, they're gonna do big drops. Like every few months, they're just gonna have really big updates. So I guess that makes sense, you know? They'll have time to work on a few specific things and then maybe throw in some extra stuff, but it'll give them time to really make sure everything is clean and beautiful and pretty. I do wonder though, I wonder if this does affect the actual endgame stuff, because they've said forever, for so long, that they're going to have tons of endgame content, right? I'm wondering whether or not these updates will affect whether or not that endgame content is coming out fast enough. I don't know, I'm curious. If you have an Xbox One, and more specifically an Xbox Live Gold membership, you might have noticed a screenshot that happened that said free play days. So obviously, as with PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold, there are always games where it's like, this is free if you're with our, you know, subscription service, and that makes total sense and is super cool. But there was also a screenshot that had a game that said free play days under it, and it was taken down and they said, oh, that was a mistake, we were trying something out. But it's, I mean, it seemed pretty official. So now everyone is like, well, what would free play days mean? Would that be an alternative to like a demo, which we've talked about before? Basically, what I would like to see out of a free play days sort of thing is you have a day to legitimately play the game. If you get all the way through the game in a day, awesome. But if not, you get that chance to just like rent the game basically, but if you already have the subscription, you don't even have to rent it. You just get a full 24 hours to play it. That's what I would like to see. Also, then it gets a little weird, right? Because would it be kind of like a beta system where they say, all right, this free play day starts from midnight this day until midnight the next day. And so whenever you log in, if you log in at like 4 p.m., you're like, I only have so many hours. I should have logged in at midnight. That's been a concern in the past, is like all games should have a demo, or all games should have some sort of way for you to see the final product before you buy it, right? Lots of people have said that before. And if this is kind of a method of doing that, and giving us a bit more to work with in terms of games that even games that aren't really doing that well, if they do a free play day, you know, they discuss with the developer and they say, hey, how do you feel about doing this program where we just put your game up for a day and people can play it as much as they want, especially something like a platformer. I mean, people would be totally down to do that. And I feel like it would be a good process for both developer and game player. But who even knows? They keep being like, no, it was a mistake, we didn't mean that wasn't a thing, that's not a real thing. So maybe it's not a real thing, maybe they've decided to can that whole part of a project, but I would like to see something like that, even though I'm not an Xbox Live Gold member. But I'd like to know that that exists in the world, so that's more what I mean. So let me tell you a little story. When I was in college, we used to complain all the time because in America, nobody really cares about theater. I was a theater student, right? In America, nobody really cares about theater. We don't have government subsidized theater, which they do have in the UK. So now, and this has been talked about in kind of a vague sense before, like when they were trying to pass this, I remember talking about this, but now it's passed, is that in the UK, if you are a British group of developers who are making a game that is culturally British in some fashion, you get a huge tax write-off. It's called the culturally British tax write-off, and basically, I mean, here's like an easy example. If you were a team of British developers and you were in England somewhere or in the UK somewhere, and you were making a game about Sherlock Holmes, the government would be like, here you go. I was thinking about that and I was thinking, man, that's really interesting. It would be so interesting if other countries started doing that, right? Tried to like somehow make it so that people were making games about the culture that they're from. And that does happen sometimes, but it doesn't happen quite as often in terms of games that the majority of the people in the world see. Also, as much as I would love subsidized theater, I cannot imagine in a million years a universe where we're like, yeah, here's a tax write-off for making a game about America. Oregon Trail! Oregon Trail would totally count. Actually, I don't know. Who made Oregon Trail? I'm assuming somebody in America made Oregon Trail, right? Also, it would be very hard to be like, yeah, I'm an American, because lots of people from lots of different countries have come into America and are now American. So really, our culture is young. Our culture is young compared to other countries. Let's focus on other countries. I would just love to see a system where different countries are rewarding people for making games that are culturally significant in some way or matter in some way to the country that they're from. I think that that would be so cool because we see those games every now and then, and sometimes they're very, they're seen as very, I don't want to say avant-garde, that's not what I want to say. I mean, they're kind of bold, right? They're kind of brave depending on where you're from and what your experience has been and what's going on in your country. So any situation like that, I would love to see more countries find value in games, I guess is what I'm saying. As a final bit of news, if you weren't at Gamescom and you really wish you had an opportunity to watch The Evil Within or play The Evil Within, you're in luck. So the developers of The Evil Within have decided, you know what, we're just gonna put up a video of us playing the beginning of The Evil Within and playing for 1 hour, a whole hour of that game. Now the response to this has been really funny to me. So on one hand you could say, oh, that's really cool. Like, some people didn't get to play the demo, some people didn't get to experience it, right? You get to just sit and watch a developer play the game. On the other hand, people are saying, way to ruin my horror experience. Why are you trying to rip this from me? For me, it's like, it's there and you don't have to watch it if you don't want to watch it. But yes, I mean, it would ruin, the first hour of gameplay would absolutely ruin any horror elements of it, right? Because you might jump, you might get like freaked out, things might scare you, but you're not physically playing it. So once you actually play the game, you'll be like, all right, and this thing's coming up, and this thing's coming up, and I'm gonna do this thing. But maybe that's even more effective, because like, you'll have that hour that lulls you into a false sense of security, and then suddenly something awful happens. I have no intention of playing The Evil Within. I don't know what happened to me. There was a point where I really, really loved horror games, where I was just so whatever about playing them, and now they legitimately like freak me out. I did Five Nights at Freddy's last night, and I was losing. I couldn't just focus and play the game. I was like, nope, 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 nope. I noped so hard out of that game. Anyway, Evil Within. If you would like to watch the video, I have a link in the description, and then you can go and watch that. If you would not like to watch it because you don't want your experience ruined, then don't click the link. Whoa! Also, before we sign off, as a huge Mythbusters fan, I want to say I'm very sad that the M7 team is leaving and that they won't be on future episodes or future series of the Mythbusters. But it's fine, and I hope that all 3 of you have a wonderful future and get amazing jobs, because you were on that show for 10 years, which blew my mind. I was like, 10 years? What? But it makes a whole lot of sense because I remember Grant Imhara looking so much younger. Also, there are Dodger sweatshirts and t-shirts on Game 2 right now. The Dodger Coffee Company. You should totally go and check it out. I'll link that in the description as well. I'm not gonna say that you should go and buy it. I'm just gonna say you should go look at it because it's all really awesome and comfortable and whatever. But anywho, that is my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to have coffee with me, you can click wherever I put the annotation and it'll take you to my other channel. But otherwise, I hope you guys have had an amazing week, an amazing couple of weeks, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye-bye. Mwah.